Okay, so we already started solving systems by graphing, elimination, and substitution. So this is going to use the elimination or substitution method to solve, except for the things we're going to have word problems. So we're going to have to follow these steps. Our first step is going to be to find the variable. When we had word problems with regular equations, that's what we did beforehand. We defined the word problem. And then our next step was to create an equation for that one. Except for now we're going to have to create two equations because it's a system. And then we're going to solve using any method. If it's in standard form, we're going to solve by elimination. If it's in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, we'll solve by substitution. Then we need to make sure it makes sense. We can't have a negative amount of people or a negative amount of roses, something like that. So it's just the same as solving regular word problems, except for now there's an additional step of using the system, okay? So you are making small and large wreaths for a craft fair. Small ones sell for $8 and large ones sell for $12. You plan on selling 40 wreaths and want to make $400. How many of each should you make? So we need to identify our x and our y. My x is going to be the first thing that I'm making, which is small wreaths, or the first thing I'm looking for. And the next, my y is going to be large wreaths. Okay, now that I've identified my variable, I need to create my equations. So if I add my x plus my y, how many total wreaths am I trying to sell? 40. My next equation is going to be my money equation. I'm going to have 8 for my small plus 12 for my large, and it's going to equal my total amount of money, 400. Okay, now that we've created our equations, I identified that they are both in standard form, so I'm going to use the elimination method. Are x and 8x opposites? No, but I can make them opposites by multiplying the top equation by negative 8. So that's going to give me negative 8x minus 8y equals negative 320. Now I'm going to set up my elimination problem by setting up negative 8x minus 8y equals negative 320 plus 8x plus 12y equals 400. Negative 8x and 8x cancel out, leaving me with 4y equals 80. Then we're going to divide by 4. And y is going to equal 20. Now that I have y, I need to find x. So I'm going to take my original problem, x plus y equals 40, and I'm going to substitute in 20 for y. So x is also going to be 20. So I'm going to have 20 small wreaths and 20 large wreaths.
So we're not making orders here?
It's an ordered pair, it's an x and a y. It's a word problem, so you just have to identify it a little differently. But most of the time, you're still going to have two answers. Alright, a caterer is planning a party for 64 people. The customer has $150 to spend. A pan of pasta feeds 14 and costs $39. A sandwich tray costs $12 and feeds 6 people. How many of each should the caterer make? Okay, our question is how many of each should they make? So that's gonna help us identify our X and our Y. So my X is gonna be my pan of pasta. And my Y is gonna be my sandwich tray. Alright. What? So I'm gonna start off with my number of people. So pasta feeds 14, so 14x. And the sandwich tray feeds 6y equals my total amount of people, 64. Then we're gonna do cost next. Pasta costs $39 and my sandwich costs $12 and it equals 150. So now that I have my equation set up, I identify that they are in standard form, so I'm gonna use elimination. Getting 14 to 39 is gonna be hard, but getting 6 to 12 is easy. So I can multiply that top equation by -2. So that's going to give me -28x minus 12y equals -128. So I'm going to set up my two columns on top of each other. So that's going to be -28x minus 12y equals -128 plus 29x plus 12y equals 150. So my x's cancel out, or no, sorry, no they don't. I messed up here. -28x plus 39. Okay, so I'm gonna get 11x. My y's cancel out, leaving me in -28 plus the 150 is 22. Divided by 11, and x is gonna equal 2. So now that I know x, I can find y by substituting it back into my original equation. 14x plus 6y equals 64. So that's 14 times 2 plus 6y equals 64. That is 28 plus 6y equals 64. Subtract 28, 6y is going to equal 36. Divide by 6, so y is going to equal 6. So that means I'm going to have how many pastas? 2. And how many sandwich trays? 2 pans of pasta and 6 sandwich trays. Yes. Alright, you have a total of 39 or 38 dimes and nickels in a jar, $3.20. How many of each do you have? So I'm looking for how many of each. So my x and my y, I need to identify my variables. What would be x? Dimes. And what would be my y? Nickels. And I'm going to add my x plus my y to equal how many of both do I have? 38. And then I'm going to do my money next. So how much are dimes worth? 10 cents. And nickels? 5 cents. And how much money do I have total? $3.20. So these are two standard form equations. So I need to multiply the top equation by my opposite. So -0.1. Sure. that's gonna give me negative 0.10 x minus 0.10 y equals negative 3.8. I'm gonna set up my system of elimination problem. My x's cancel out. I'm left with negative 0.5 y equals negative 0.6. Divide by negative 0.05. And what is my y equal? I have two negatives, so it's going to be positive. What's 0.6 divided by 0.05? 12. So now I know y, I can find x, and substitute it into my original equation. X plus y equals 38. So x plus 12 equals 38. Subtract 12, and x will equal 26. So that means I'm going to have 26 dimes and 12 nickels. Okay. Car model X costs 23,000 to purchase and about 0.12 per mile to maintain. And model Y costs 24,500 to purchase and about 10 cents per mile to maintain. How many miles must be driven for the cost to be equal? Okay, so I have two separate things. So I'm going to write two separate equations. So my model X, my y is going to equal, we have how much per mile? 0.12, and that would be 0.12x, because it's per something, so it's going to be like a rate of change, plus what's my base? 22,000, that would be like a b. And then model y, my y is going to equal what? What's my per mile there? And what's my base cost? Okay, and it says that we're going to set them equal to each other. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my 0.12x plus 22,000 and have it equal my 0.10x plus 24,500. Because it says how many miles, so x is going to be miles. So we're looking for just x in this case. So I'm going to subtract 0.10x from both sides. So that means that I'm going to get 0.02x plus 22,000 equals 24,500. Subtract 22,000 from both sides. And 0.02x equals 2,500. Then I'm going to divide by 0.02. And x is going to equal 125,000 miles. a school play had 321 people in attendance and collected $1,590 in admission. Adult admission was $6 and student admission was $4. Find the number of each that attended. So we're looking for the number of each. So my X and my Y are gonna be what? What's my X? We have adult and we have student. What's first? Adult. And Y? Student. Whatever's first always comes first. Okay, so if I'm looking for total amount, I can add up my X plus my Y and equal my total amount of attendance, 321. Then I'm gonna do money next, so that's gonna be 6X plus 4Y equals 1,590. Okay, so now what do I need to do? Do I have opposites? No, but I can create one by multiplying the top by negative 6. So it'll be negative 6x minus 6y equals negative 1,926. So let me set up my problem. Negative 6x minus 6y equals negative 1,926 plus 6x plus 4y equals 15,090, or I'm sorry, 1,590. So my x's cancel out, leaving me with negative 2y equals negative 336. Divide by negative 2. And y is going to equal 168. So now that I have y, I need to find x. So x plus y equals 321. So x plus 168 plus equals 321. And x is going to equal 153. So that means I'm going to have 153 adult and 168 student. Alright, so you need 89 octane gasoline to fill its 16-gallon tank. How much 87 octane must you mix with 92 octane to produce 16 gallons of 89 octane gasoline? So, the first thing I want to go over is that when it talks about octanes, that's going to be actually the percent. So if we're looking for 89% of gas, it's 89% gasoline. I mean, it would be like 11% of whatever else. And so that would be 0.89. And so 87 would be 0.87. It's just called 87 octane, and same thing with here, this would be 0.92. So this would mean that would be only 8% of whatever else, and we look ethanol or whatever. So we're looking for how many of 87 and 89. So X is going to be my 87 octane, and Y is going to be my 92 octane. Okay, so if I add X and Y, that's going to give me my gallons. How many gallons am I looking for? 16, right? And then I need to do my other one, which is going to be the percent. So if I have 0.87X plus 0.92y, did it give me a total of the percent? No, so we need to make a total. So I'm gonna take my 0.89 and I'm gonna multiply it by the amount of gas that I need, 16 gallons. So 0.89 times 16 is gonna give me 14.24. And that's what you're gonna have to do whenever you have a percent problem. So now, these are in standard form. I can multiply the top one by negative 0.87. And get negative 0.87x minus 0.87y equals negative 13.92. Then set up my elimination problem. Alright, so negative 0.87x plus 0.87x, those will eliminate. Negative 0.87 plus 0.92y will give me 0.05y. And negative 13.92 plus 14.24 will give me a 0.32. Then I'm going to divide by 0.05. So my y is going to equal 6.4. Now that I know y, I can find x by substituting it into my original equation. X plus y equals 16. So x plus 6.4 equals 16. Subtract 6.4, so x is going to equal 9.6. So that means with my 87 octane gas, I'm going to have 9.6 gallons. And with my 92 octane gas, I'm going to have 6.4 gallons. Okay. So a chemist needs to make 30% or make 30 ounces of 25% alcohol solution. The lab only has 15% and 40% alcohol solutions. How much of each should be used to make 30 ounces of 25% solution? So our first step is to identify our variables x and y. What type of solutions do I have? 15% alcohol solution and 40% alcohol solution. All right. So, item, how many ounces am I looking for? 30. So x plus y will equal my total of 30. And then I'm going to do my percent. So 15 as a percent is 0.15x plus 0.40y. Do they give me a total percent? I know I'm looking for 25, but 25% of what? Of 30 ounces. So I'm going to have to do the same thing like I did last time and multiply 0.25 times 30. So that would be 0.25 times 30 is going to be 7.5. So now that I have two problems, I can multiply my top equation by negative 0.15. So we would be negative 0.15 x minus 0.15 y equals negative 4.5. So I'm going to set up my elimination problem. So negative 0.15 x minus 0.15 y equals negative 4.5 plus 0.15 x plus 0.40 y equals 7.5. My x's cancel out, leaving me with 0.25 y equals 3. Divide by 0.25. And y is going to equal 12. So now that I have y, I can find x, which is my original equation. X plus y equals 30. X plus 12 equals 30. Subtract 12 from 30, so x equals 18. So that means I'm going to have, for my 15%, I'm going to have 18 ounces. And for my 40%, I'm going to have 12 ounces.